This is about asking questions about certification. Anything that you want to know that we might be able to answer for you. So just want to take a moment. I always like to find out kind of how we are in the moment. So this is what I call a weather check-in, an internal weather check-in. So just take a moment and find out where you are in this moment. Anybody want to share how they are? Anything keeping you from being as present as you'd like in this moment? I'm hearing nothing, so I'm hearing it's pretty sunny inside of each of you. I'm making that assumption. I don't know what's true. But I'd love to connect with any of you. Anybody want to just share how they are?
I can. I am just getting ready for work, and I thought this was tomorrow. I had ninth in my head for Thursday. So I was like, oops. So I might be off mute. Or I mean off camera because I'm just making my lunch and stuff. So I'm surprisingly calm because I don't usually mix up the dates. But so yeah, that's how I'm feeling. Calm in this, maybe in my own storm.
Hmm, thank you. So you're having what does Marshall say about that when you make mistakes? How to make mistakes without losing self-respect is what I'm hearing. Just kind of staying calm and connected. Thank you. Anybody else want to check in out loud?
Sure. I'll go. Excuse me. My name is Rich, and talking to you from Colorado in the U.S., and I'm doing well this morning. It's
Mm.
supposed to be a beautiful spring day today, and I get to jump on Zoom with a bunch of NBC lovers and folks who do giraffe talk. So it's a good day for me. Doing well.
Yay. Thank you. I'm excited to see you all. Hey, Chris. So just for an introduction, Annika and Chris and I are all kind of supporting candidates, and we'll be supporting candidates at this IIT, which actually it's unusual a bit that we have as many people supporting candidates in the trainer roles as we do at the Sweden IIT, which is quite exciting to me. Often there's only one, and sometimes they're actually not on the trainer team. They're just kind of a separate person dealing with certification. So in that way, I think it's really a fortunate team. Anakin and Chris, anything you want to say about certification before I ask from others about what they're wanting to know?
I can say I'm an assessor in training, so I too have questions about certification. So yeah, but really happy to see all these faces and a lot of people I don't know, and that's always so hopeful for me that we are many who are interested in the same topics.
Mhm. Yay, thanks. Hey, Chris, want to say anything about your role as a assessor and kind of a bit about who you are? You are muted, my dear.
Or certification for me is the work of the candidates, and SSA is there as a witness. That is how I consider witness for their commitment to live the process and commitment to live the process in a community of practitioners.
Mm.
So this is what I would like to say about certification, how I understand it.
Thank you. And we're kind of on different teams. So I'm Sylvia Haskowitz. I'm on the CAF team. It's a candidate and community active learning forum, and CAF is a baby giraffe, is why we started with that. And we are Michael Dillo in Switzerland, myself in the US, and Summer Lee, who's in China, and we have a candidate as well that's on our team. And Chris, you are
I am
you
with Ramnusha, who is a SSA in training from Sri Lanka. And then there is Sudha from India and Sabine, who is the SSA in the team. Yeah.
Hmm. And Anakin, do you want to say a bit about your team?
So I'm in the English-speaking European assessor team. Short is ECAP, and we are now 9 assessors, while 2 of us are in training. It's Gina Laurie, Shona Cameron, Tara Balvers, Dion Verbet, Ian Peaty, Anya Mills, Ola Gołaszewska, Asha Berendt, and myself. I think I remembered everyone.
Wow, impressed.
Me too.
Thank you. So I'd love to turn it over to you and to find out what you'd like to know. I'm happy to answer what I can. I've been in this role since 2011.
So I don't think it was you in me, Anniken, but the group, right?
Yes, thank you. Thanks for clarifying. Yes. So here's the thing that was offered was everything you want to know about certification, but we're afraid to ask. So what would help you get through your fear to ask and actually ask the questions that you're curious about? Or what brought you here today? I'm guessing something brought you here. And rather than us pouring our information into you, because we think we know what you would want, I'd love to actually know what you'd like. So if you can help us out, what questions can we answer for you? Enric.
Yeah, I guess I could introduce myself since I don't know everyone on the call. My name is Henrik Frid. I live in Sweden. I'm part of the organizer team for this IIT, and I'm also a candidate for certification. And I guess I wanted to make like an offer also in terms of um, I'm hoping that the candidates that will be at the IIT, that we will get together and get to know each other. So I was hoping to exchange some contact information and maybe set up some like meetup or like have like a Zoom call or something before the actual IIT, just for the candidates to get to know each other a bit. So so I guess I could drop my email information in the chat, and like anyone who is interested in connecting could send me a message. And if there are any questions or ideas about that, I guess we could have a chat also today, in like how candidates can support each other, like both before and during and after the IIT in Sweden. How is
Thank
that
you.
for you guys? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm super glad that you brought that up because I find that, this 9-day training can be so rich and even richer when you guys connect beforehand, during, and after to support each other with learning edges, with feedback, with kind of showing up and for support, for empathy. So, yay, really glad that you're proposing that. I'm curious on the call, how many of you are candidates, actual candidates at the moment? Okay, I see 1, 2, 3. Okay. And so some of the others of you are wanting to possibly join certification. Am I understanding that accurately? A little head nod would help me. Great, thank you. Cool.
I'm open to a question. I just didn't want to be the first because I'm often like I'm not shy, so I'm choosing to be conscious about that. So that's why I didn't jump in.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have, I MVC has definitely been a game changer for me, and I'm in education. And one of the things I've been toying between just practicing it and as opposed to getting certified. So question one is like, what would be the benefit of being certified versus just living it? And I know that for me, like, and I've heard other MBC um, people say that like it is a lifelong journey. Like I know it's not the be all and end all. So I guess so, like, going back, is that's the question number one. The second question is,
But can we stop with that one first?
sure, sure.
Thanks. So what's the benefit of becoming certified? Any Anakin or Chris, you want to answer that? I've got my own thoughts, but I'd love somebody else to jump in.
You go ahead, Sylvia, we'll follow up.
I'd like to say just for me,
Yeah, please.
when I decided to go for certification, it wasn't like a career thing or that I had some aspirations of particular paths to follow or to pursue. So it was mainly for my own personal development, and I really found that helpful. And of course, it could be done in different ways, but it was those challenges that I was meeting during those yeah, writing my portfolio and getting feedback. And so for me, it was yeah, a big step in growing self-understanding and understanding others.
Thank you. My mentor when I was an assessor in training was Rita Herzog, who passed in January. And I remember what she said that I really liked was that certification is like a 3 to 5 year independent study master's program. So it really has that kind of intensity. And like Anakin said, just a really big possibility of growing and learning and creating community that you can then play with when you do trainings. So I know there's been a really strong community that's been built from people playing together and working together, and the growth has been pretty amazing. I kind of liken it to this process going on a hike together. So if you're a hiker, people start at different places on the hike, and it's sort of going up the mountain together. And for me as an assessor, I'm like your Sherpa, but I don't schlep your bags. So I'm kind of next to you. I kind of hang out next to you and I support, but you're really the leader on the path. It's really about you deciding when, where, and there's little marks on the path. There's key distinctions, there's journaling, there's sharing maybe an introduction with your assessor, giving your own feedback, and then getting feedback. Um, so the benefits for me, it's just a huge learning. It's a huge growing and supporting community. And also one of the reasons Marshall, I think, wanted to have certification, there was a couple of things that were important to him. One was that when we offer NBC, that we separate it out from other modalities. So we just offer pure NBC. And another thing is that he really wanted to reach a critical mass of people living this process. So I think those were a couple of the motivations that he had for certification, although he struggled with certification as well because wasn't really into organization much, and he didn't want to put that separation in the title or the label. So for me, what the benefit is just growing your own consciousness and creating more of a community. And I think Rich, you had a question, and then I see Annika also has a question.
So my question, thank you. So my question was more about some clarity needs I have on process steps. So I've been through prior to the COVID period of time, I attended several NVC workshops and did that primarily for professional reasons initially, and then just blossomed in terms of how I communicate personally with my family. And I want to keep going and be able to offer it within my community. So I need some clarity around. So I register that I'm going to be entering into this certification program. I contact an assessor. There's a fee that I pay, and then what?
Okay, so
And
you're looking for more specifics. So I would say before you,
yeah, so yeah,
yeah. Before
Thank
you
you.
do the registration, I would actually search around for an assessor that might work for you. So it's a really deep process. So you want to be sure there's a fit. You want to be sure it's somebody that you're going to want to hang out together with for this amount of time, and that it's a community that you want to join if they're in a community as well. So those are things I would consider, and you might consider also geography because you're going to want to meet your assessor in person
Mm,
at least once, if not more.
okay.
So those are things that I would definitely consider. So I would shop around and see what a fit was. And then once you meet with the assessor, and before you even do that, I would read the 44-page CPP, the certification preparation packet that's online. So I'd read that and make sure you have 20 days of training, of in-person training. So those are some of the things that I would do beforehand. And then I'd find an assessor that works, join a community. And once you join the community, there's lots of possibilities of where you start. But even before you start, I would say you could start with just starting to journal. You know, like noticing some people that that I work with have a journal where they have like a giraffe journal and a jackal journal. So they might on one side put all their jackal thoughts, and then they might giraffeize them on the other side. So just a way to start to notice, you know, where my thoughts are taking me, where my judgments are, and how I can offer them compassion. So we
So
can start that at any time, way before you even start the process. Does that
may I
help
ask,
as a starting point,
yeah,
Rich?
it does. May I ask a follow-up?
Sure.
So if you wouldn't mind explaining a little bit more about when you say fit, making sure that it's a good fit, what do you see as some qualities of what fit means? And then in this day and age of Zoom, where everyone, we can connect globally, it's a beautiful thing. How important, critical is it in person, face to face versus what we're doing here?
I would say critically important in person.
Okay.
They ask in the CPP, and again, the CPP are guidelines, they're not straitjackets. And the point, if you want to look at what the point is for me of actually the whole process, is how do I become the best trainer I can be in knowing, sharing, and living NVC? And so for me, it's not about an outside process, as Chris had mentioned. It's really an inner process.
Mm.
Can I get feedback? Can I give myself feedback? Can I know what do I need to know? Where are my learning edges? Where are my struggles? Where are my challenges? If somebody says to me in a workshop, that's bullshit, how do I respond? Can I hang out with that? Can I be with that? Can I translate what's going on for them without hearing it as criticism?
Okay.
And so a fit, I would say, you know, who do you connect with? Who is there a sense from both sides? Kind of like a job interview. Is this a fit? Am I comfortable? Do I sense there could be trust built here? Yeah?
All right. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
and
you.
I'm going to go back, Anna Lucinda, because I didn't check to see if you got your first question answered, and I know you had a second one. And then I see Annika as well.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Sylvia. Yeah, definitely you answered my question, and I really appreciated the previous question, the question that was just asked. Just the other follow-up, and actually maybe you answered it because, like how do you know when you're ready kind of idea, but like you said, it sounded like it might be just part of the process. Like how much, not, I shouldn't say experience sounds so funny, but just, yeah, how do you know when you're ready? Or do you need, other than the 20 days? I mean, do you understand my question?
So how do
Sorry.
you know you're ready to start the process of
Yeah, yeah.
certification?
And I know it's
Yeah,
probably an internal one, but
yeah. Well, I would say, you know, a lot of people share NVC without being certified. So it's not a have to. It's, are you wanting to take a deeper dive into really learning and living the process and sharing it? So to me, it's a personal choice of where you're at. Do you want to join this community, this international community? There's people in, I don't know how many countries, but lots of countries. And I think at this point we're up to 900 trainers. When I first was certified, I was one of the first 20, so it was much smaller.
Okay. No, I think, yeah, I see what you're saying. But yeah, thank you so much, Sylvia. I really appreciate that.
Sure. So Annika, Ola, oh, then we have, oh, thank you. Okay, let's start with you, Annika. And feel free, Chris or Annika, if you have anything you want to jump in with, just jump.
Thank you. Yeah, so I guess my question, hi, by the way, Sylvia, I was actually in an IIT with you 10 years ago in Romania. But I think my issue with the certification process is like, how do I build community to like hold that process? Because as I've read about it, it seems to be a lot of self-starter energy in it and require a lot of, yeah, I guess it would be supportive if I found a community or like a group that did it together or followed like through the steps together. Do you have any thoughts, or does any of you have any thoughts around that and how to build that?
Well, I would say it's pretty much an NVC style building it. So in the CAF community, somebody said, gosh, I'd like to learn KDs, but I'd like to do it in a group. So they said, hey, who in the community is interested in meeting with me? So now they meet, I think, every week and they talk about a different key distinction. And then they'll practice that for the week or for the month.
Yeah.
So it's often come from the energy of the participants, of the people, the candidates that really wanted to learn something. Or somebody said, gosh, I'm not really excited about journal writing. Anybody want to join me in a journal writing group? So now they have a journal writing group.
Mm.
Other people that have met through IITs, or we do a 9-day training, which is similar to IITs in our group, and people meet there and then form groups or form alliances or connections. So it's become very self-connecting and self-starting, as opposed to the leaders or the assessors kind of doing that work. It's really
Mhm.
coming from the candidate saying, this is what we need, and so let's ask for it, or let's find a way to make it happen.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Could I comment?
Please.
Yeah, so Annika, so this type of group was also something that I was hoping to create in proximity to the IIT, that the candidates that will be at the IIT that will also meet like before and after, like over Zoom. So this was the intention
Cool.
that I had, and I
Where do you
hope,
live?
yeah, I'm hoping that there will be several people wanting or who are interested in something like that. So.
Mm. Yeah, you've got a rich community there because you're already building, being together for 9 days in the way that you are. You're already starting a really sweet community. So I like that idea a lot. Thank you, Henrik. Hola.
Okay, hi. Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. So similar to what was asked already, but from a slightly different perspective. So you said it's like a self-study master's program for 3 to 5 years. So I'm wondering, also from the perspective of you as assessors, what kind of a dedication are you expecting from the candidate when they embark on this journey? What I mean is, so, I might not have the time and energy at this point to do the master's in 3 years. I might be able to do it in 7 to 8 years. So is it better to start now, acknowledging it might take 7 to 8 years? Or shall I wait for 2, 3 more years, expect that the better time comes, and then I would be able to commit to doing it in 3 years?
Thank you. I like the question. I'm okay if people want to stretch it out however long they want to stretch it out. And I love it when they're in community with me and connection. So somebody might say, you know what, I'm jumping off the path for a year. I'll get back to you in a year and let you know where I'm at. I would much prefer that than people kind of going away, which sometimes happens, without any communication about it. So if you know where you're at and that's where you're at, and sometimes things happen in life, so we jump off the path. When I interview people and they interview me, one of the things I like to find out from them is, what is your sense of commitment? Like, is this something that, and that's why we ask for 20 days of training, because, people go to 1 or 2 days of workshop and they get excited and they say, I want to become a trainer, but they don't know what they're getting into. They have no clue. So it's exciting for the moment, and then reality hits, and then they're out of there. So largely the role of assessor is pretty much voluntary. I think it was Rich that asked earlier. There's payment at the time of registering to be a candidate, and then there's payment if you do a training, let's say on video, and you want some feedback, and also for doing your portfolio or the pre-assessment time, and then at the final assessment. So there's 3 or 4 times that you're actually supporting with monies that you're requested to support with monies. And sometimes that's different depending on the country you come from and resources that you have. So that's also a money dance, we call it in our work. So yeah, it's a fluid process, I would say, just like life. So I don't know
Mhm.
how to answer that for you, but I'm hoping that gives you some guide.
Yeah.
Does
Yeah.
yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm. SBK, I'm not sure what your name is, but I will just name you as you named yourself.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Sarah. I didn't realize my.
Sarah.
Sorry about that.
Hmm.
Yeah. Hi, Sylvia. Hi, everybody.
Sarah.
Yeah, I'm wondering. So I've been looking into becoming a candidate for a while, and my understanding from talking with other people is that it can be quite difficult to find an assessor that actually has availability time. Do you also have that impression? I'm just checking if that is the case.
Yeah, I think getting harder, although there's becoming more assessors in training as well. So hopefully we'll catch up because the assessor and training process is somewhat similar to the candidate process, where you go through some process of really learning that role. It's a very different role. Um, yeah, and sometimes it's harder to get back to you than people would like because they're busy. So I would just keep trekking on and you'll find somebody, but it probably isn't as easy as we'd like it to be.
Mm, Thank you.
Is that, how do I pronounce your name? Riddish? Yeah.
Yes. Hi, everyone. Hi, Sylvia.
Hi.
I was curious about if it's possible to make a career out of this and if becoming certified would help with making a career out of this.
Making a career, meaning you're going to make lots of money?
Ideally, yes.
Hmm. Yeah. I think it's always possible, and I don't know that the majority of trainers are making a killing on this work, I would say. And there's people that have been super creative and I'm sure found ways. I know one of my colleagues has certainly done that with bringing NVC into business. Um, so yes, I think it's possible. And if that's your goal, I worry about it. I would say both and. And Anakin and Chris, I'd love you to answer that if you'd like.
Yeah, I think, as I said, it's an inner process, and so career really may not really help you to get to that. Career could be that could be part of it, but then not. It's not. If it becomes the main thing, then of course the whole thing will be screwed up, I think. Yeah. For me, I think it's also really it's based on a spiritual principle. Actually, it's a real spiritual process, basically. So
I could add. But there is something very sweet about wanting to make that your living and to spread NVC maybe in parts of the world that are less open and less active around it already. And it would be lovely if you also got paid for it. So yeah, Sylvia said I think it's both. And if your main aim is to be rich, it's probably not the best step of career. But if your main aim is to spread something that is beautiful and also make a living, I think it's possible. And it needs also maybe some skills in marketing and what you said. Maybe you aim into businesses that are willing to open up for introspection, because that's really also what it's about. These, and not everybody's willing to do that. Look inside, what can I do and what difference can I make? It's usually more of a blame game out there, to put it like bluntly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that would be my,
Yeah.
yeah.
And thanks for the question, because one of the people that you might be interested in talking to about it, who's now on the certification path, is Marie Miyashiro. She wrote the book Empathy Factor, which is bringing MVC to business. She also wrote a chapter in the Change Handbook, which is for nonprofits, and that was co-authored with Marshall. She's a candidate of mine, and she definitely has made her living and a career out of bringing empathy into business. And I think she's now teaching something called the Giraffe Business School. And so she is working with people to make it more of a career and bring more finances to them as they share NVC. So she's somebody you might want to check out.
Thank you for the answers.
Sure. Matt.
Hello, everyone. I'm Matt from Poland. I have two questions. One question is related to this 3 to 5 years. So I understood that if I'm in the contact with my assessor and I inform her and in the beginning I say that, okay, I need a slow pace. I want to do it in, for example, 10 years. And then if I will be still in the touch with my assessor, that's something that I can pursue. Is that so?
So in other words, if you want to make an arrangement that it would be longer time than 3 to 5 years,
Yeah.
and your sponsor agrees to that, yeah. And I guess I would caution kind of the number of years. We say
Yeah.
3 to 5, and again, that's what we say is sort of an average. And some people start off and they've already had, years and years of NVC training, so it might be fewer than that. And some people are brand new in the process, so they've done the 20 days.
Yeah.
And so it might be much longer than that. So I wouldn't get hung up on the amount of years. I would get hung up more on the process and what I need to be the best trainer I can be, what that might
Yeah.
look like for me.
Yeah.
Yeah? Does
Yeah.
that help?
I'm asking, I think like twice as 20 days or maybe a little more. But right now I know that I would like to assist during NVC workshops, so I will get like to make my foundation more grounded. That's my plan, and I think I would need like 1 or 2 years. And I was just wondering if I should start, or maybe not should, but if it's better like just to start right away the certification process, or just go through like assisting a little and then start the certification. And my idea is like just to start right away, not to wait, but that's my feeling
Mm.
about that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I wouldn't know how to answer that for you, but I'm hearing that you're sort of torn about whether to start now or to wait maybe till
Yeah.
there's more, kind of like a similar question that we had earlier. And for me, it's a process. So whether the process starts now or whether you start actually doing some of the things that are in the CPP as a way to prepare yourself and begin when you feel more comfortable beginning, for me, that's really an individual decision. And I don't know that there's a right or a good
Yeah.
answer to that.
Yeah.
Is there a right time? Is there a right time for anything? To have a
Yeah.
baby, to get a job? It's one of those things like, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, and I want to ask also about the payments and about if I pay to my assessor or if I pay to CNVC, and who is founding assessor, that
Mhm.
kind of
Yeah.
doubts, that kind of thoughts I have. It's
Yeah.
not clear
So the
for me.
money that comes in comes to your assessor. The only time that it goes also to CNVC is at the very end When you've been certified, you've gone through the final assessment, and then because trainers pay a certain amount per year, so then you would start that payment to CNBC, but that's just at the very end
Mhm.
of the process.
Okay,
Does
so each payment is I pay to my assessor
Mhm,
during the process.
mhm,
Okay, thank you.
mhm. Victoria,
Hello.
hello.
Hello. Yeah, I'm not sure, but it came up a question around the 20 days and that being like in person and online. And I couldn't quite, that's something that I am sitting with as well. And I'm wondering if you could speak more to that because it was not clear to me, like the preference in person in spite like online because I think it's easier for me to get hours online than in person. So I'm like
Mhm.
wondering, I think I found some information, I read it somewhere, but it's not clear to me the kind of ratio and how do you
Yeah.
see
So
that?
here's what I would say again. I would say in this NBC process, it's not a have to. It's not a straitjacket. It's not that this is written in stone. It's a preference only because we want to be sure that people that are on the path are really serious about being on the path, that this is something they have some sense of commitment to. And even then, we don't know. Sometimes people jump on and they jump off, even if they've had 20 days of in-person training. So it's not a guarantee. It just supports us to know that you're kind of serious about the process. There was a percentage I know in the CPP years ago, and I'm not sure if that's changed. I'm not as up on it. I think it was like 30% that you could do online and the rest was in person. But the difference that I find, we certainly get obviously a lot of quality even online. And I know a lot of you that maybe live in places where it's not so easy to find in-person training. So for me, it's a living process. It's not a have to. I hope to meet people in person, and certainly if I'm working with them as an assessor, I'd want to meet them at least once. That would be my strong preference because we get a very different sense when we're in person than when we're online. Just as an example, I just came back from a 5-day training with the first generation NBCers. Those are people that were certified with Marshall before 1990. And I had a candidate for probably 5 or 6 years now that I'd never met in person. And I met him in person and I was like, wow, this is the same person. I was just sort of shocked because online he was usually at work and in his car. And I saw this little piece of him. But in person, I saw, wow, this guy, like with all this energy and he's bouncing around and dancing. And it was just such a different experience. The fullness of who I experienced was just so different than what happened online. So for me, that is a really important piece. And because we can hide behind our little Zoom, we can do a million other things while we're also Zooming. And we're in person, you are there with your full self, your full body. So the distractions don't happen the same. It's a very different process. So I honor both and thank God we had it during COVID because that made a huge difference. I did 9-day trainings online during COVID. I did like IITs online. So I'm grateful that we had it and it's different. And I'm wondering, Victoria, if that supports you in some way.
Yes, it does. And like a follow-up question, when like I'm also considering applying, uh, but I'm kind of gathering hours now, and with the like, I'm hearing it's kind of up to when I do the application that the decision made, like, is it enough or is it isn't it? Um, like would what's my question? Like if I'm uncertain that I have the enough hours in person, like would it be
Mhm.
could I like do the application and see like maybe if I have like done some journaling for 3 years and like something else that could weigh up like showing that there is
Mhm.
dedication.
So I'll tell you, if you were to come to me, this is what I would say to you. I would say, have you read this before I make a meeting with you on Zoom? I would say, have you read the CPP? Do you have questions from the CPP you'd want to have me answer? And then I would say, have you had 20 days of training? It used to be 10 days of training. Have you had 20 days of training? And if you haven't, I might say, let's meet, because I do spiritual Sundays once a month and I do a candidate call once a month. Why don't we meet on there and just see how we connect? So I might invite you to something. And then if we decided we wanted to possibly interview each other, I would set up a 45-minute or hour call on Zoom and just you could ask all your questions. We could say how we work together, what that might look like. We would play and then take it from there. So I would say, yeah, it would be sort of an individual thing. It's not, I hate to say, if you don't have 20 days in person, then don't call me. Because everybody has a different story of what that looks like. How is that for you, Victoria?
Yeah, that answered my question. Thank you.
Anakin or Chris, do you have other ideas of how you would play? I'd be happy to hear.
I always encourage people if they have a desire to register, to go ahead and register. And then of course, once you register, you have access to your assessor, so you can always connect and continue on your journey. Otherwise, sometimes that you want to register later and later, this procrastination, you never really attend to those desires that arise. So I always encourage them to do that.
Like that. I once asked Marshall, I said, how will I know when I get this stuff? When I really kind of have it in me, yeah? And he said, take 30 days of training and then practice, practice, practice.
Sylvia?
Yeah.
I was wondering if I could ask a question about journaling and also for permission to plug in a weekly meeting aimed towards people who are thinking about certification.
Yeah.
So which one would like to have first?
I'm open.
So the question about journaling is that I understand that different assessors have different requirements about journaling. Some people say that they want to see this. Some people say that they look at that. So I'm wondering actually from you and from Chris and also Annika, each of you could give us an an answer on what you would look at in terms of the journaling.
Thanks. Annika or Chris, you want to go?
For me, journaling is actually sort of it's what touches you, basically. Whatever it might be just an ordinary thing that happened, anything that happens to you in life, but somehow it has some reaction, some awakening moments. Then of course you start reflecting and writing, because reflections are very important in living. So that's how I consider journaling.
And when you're reviewing, sorry for the follow-up, but when you're reviewing someone you're assessing and you're looking at what they're writing, what would you choose to look at? How do you kind of engage with their journaling?
Yeah, that would be, for instance, how they how they progress from this. It's just a simple thing that they're written down, or it's forgotten, or it's something that they work on, you see.
So you're looking for progress, to see progress in the journal.
Yeah, they are really connecting these reflections and moments of really awakening that comes to you. Because if you just lose touch with them and lose connection, of course, it doesn't make any sense for your growth as such. Thank you.
So I'm pretty new in this. I've written my own journal a long time ago, and now I've read a couple of read a couple of portfolios, And I also ask the same question. So what do I look for? I mean, what is really important? And what my mentor, Gina Laurie, said is it's what you mentioned, Chris, about progress, about seeing some development and deeper insights. And also if I'm touched by reading it, if it's something that resonates in me, that's not very clear thing, but I know when it happens. So yeah.
Thanks. I would just add that for me, the question I ask is, why do we do it? What would be the importance? And for me as an assessor, I would say, I don't know how you live NVC internally. So that supports me in knowing how you live it. And the point that I learned from my mentor was that it's not about perfection. It's about, can I get back to the consciousness I'd like to get back to when I would? Like, do I know how to do that? So the journaling also supports me. And like Anakin and Chris said, was the person alive when they were writing? Were they touched by what they were writing? Did it hit something in them? Which also likely means that it'll be touching to me too. Like, am I awake and excited and engaged in reading?
Thank you. And on a very quick follow-up on that, how much writing are you expecting in terms, you say over 2 years, but are we expected to write, once a week, once a month, in total more than 10 pages?
As much as I'm a nutritionist, so I also like to know what people eat. So as much as I'd like to hear what you had for breakfast, I really want to know kind of what's stirred in you in your journal. So in other words, for me, it's not about time. It's about, did something just happen? And I realize, wow, that's the second time that I've been in that situation. And this time maybe I looked at it differently. Or this time I went back to how I did it 3 years ago, and I'm not so excited about that. Is there some sense of awareness about where I'm at? And there's something that happened that I really want to write down, or maybe just to get clarity about what just happened. Why did I get triggered in that situation? Why did I react in that way? So it's not so much how often or when for me. It's much more of those incidents where I could learn something from, or I
And
could
is there a
grow from.
minimum that you would say is required? I'm sorry, I'm drilling down on this, but I really feel like
No, not a minimum for me. It's more about your aliveness in what's going on inside. Again, so this is the part that we struggle with sometimes as assessors, because we're all used to the very jackal system. This is a test, and when I pass the test, I become certified. It's not like that for this. This is more of a process that we do together. And sometimes the readiness comes from the candidate, and sometimes the readiness comes from the assessor saying, I think you're ready, or the candidate might say, I think I'm ready. So it's much more of a process of together rather than somehow we need to tick all the boxes and make sure we dotted all our I's and crossed our T's. How does that land for you? I know for people that really like structure, sometimes that's a little bit of a struggle.
for me, it's fine. I'm happy to do that. I hope it'll be enough when I get to the point where someone reviews it. And I will try to embed more journaling in general in my own life, just for fun, for myself, not for showing it to anyone,
Yeah,
because it does help me.
yeah, I like that. And
And
what I do, everybody has a different system, but what I do, I often know the candidates pretty well by the time they do their pre-assessment or assessments. And so, the journaling piece, sometimes before I meet with them, I might meet with them pretty regularly, and they might just share like a couple of clips. When you say how long, I'm not looking for, I'm not looking for pages and pages. I'm looking for kind of the essence. What's happened for you?
So can I just plug into those who are also here, who are thinking about certification and candidacy? I'm also thinking about it, and we have a group that meets weekly, European time, Sunday nights, European time. I can put the link in the chat. You're more than welcome to join us. We practice talking about key differentiations to each other, presenting them to each other, and then we kind of give each other feedback. We have kind of a structure for it. You're welcome to join us. Thank you.
Thank you. And I see a note from Ana Lucinda. I'm driving to work. One last question. Where did it go? Just moved. I'm an educator and I like to bring NBC into my work environment, my way of bringing peace to the world, wondering if it serves to find out who is familiar with education. Got it. And I think, yeah, and Anna, can you responded that you're an educator? Yay. Okay, Matt.
Yeah, I have one question about attending IIT. I wonder if that's make change if I should like open the process before attending IIT, or I may like attend IIT and then open the process with assessor.
I think is there, and I'm not sure, you could probably, Amy, you could probably answer this better than me or Joaquin. I think is there a discount if you're a candidate? There is a discount to attending, so that might be a factor that you consider. And I know that there's going to be meetings together, so candidates will be having special time together with the assessors at the training. So that might be of value to you if you're considering registering. Does that help, Matt?
That clears like how it's happening, but I wonder if it's needed for the certification process to, yeah.
I see what you're saying. So the request is that you attend one IIT during your process. And for me, whether you've registered or you attended an IIT first, it's not as important to me. I think the importance is that this is Marshall's gift to CNBC, was to have this 9-day training where each day it's focused on a certain topic. And then living in community, in an international community, was also important because stuff comes up as you're living together for 9 days that wouldn't just come up on Zoom or if you did a couple-day training. So it's just a deeper dive into uncovering stuff about yourself, about the way that you operate, your learning, your edges. Did I get to it, Matt, or is there more that you have?
Yeah, I think it's like put the light of why it's important, but I still don't know if it's like, yeah, for example, if I, or maybe you said it and I didn't hear it, like if it's that, for example, I attend IIT and then in one year later I decide that I want to find an assessor and start the certification process. So I wonder if this IIT will be this one that it's needed, or then if I should go to another IIT.
Yeah, I can't answer that for the assessor that you're going to choose. My understanding is, for me, again, it's not in the Jekyll system where I need to tick that off the box as much as what's the learning for me? Does it make sense to me that I went through a 9-day training and I learned what I wanted to learn or what was important to me? Whether it happened a year before I registered or happened while I was a candidate, to me is way less important than where are you with your learning goals? And I can't answer for every assessor, but that would be my take. Chris, how is that for you or Anakin as far as what you would say about having an IIT?
Yeah, IIT is a problematic thing because it's expensive for a lot of people. So, so you want to do it. That's why I think, Sylvia, you mentioned that for the candidates there is a discount, and but so it doesn't matter when you do the IIT for me. It's, I think I would, I think they would like before certification, I mean, there was, I don't know if it is still there, that you need to attend at least one IIT. I don't know if it is still there or whether you could do it. Some of them do it even afterwards, I don't know.
Mhm. Yeah, and the CAF program that I have, we we do 9-day trainings too. We don't call them IITs because it's not open to anybody. It's open to only candidates or those that are really heavily steeped in NVC. So it's a little different process, but we do the same program. Okay, I see we're kind of coming towards the end. And so what I'd love to do is maybe just a quick checkout from just a few people that would like to. Anybody that's voice who hasn't been heard, I'd love to maybe just hear anything you're taking away.
I can say something. Hi, I'm Joachim. I'm both organizer and trainer, but I'm not an assessor. So one thing I would encourage you, if you haven't decided to become a candidate yet or not, to start with the journaling. It will not be a waste of time, even if you decide not to be a candidate. It's like a beautiful way to document your inner journey, your development. And so that's I want to contribute to that, to just start with the journaling. And thank you all for joining. And it was beautiful. I was driving most of the time, so thanks for showing up, all of my fellow trainers and all of you participants. So hope to see you on the IIT. Bye.
Thank you.
So this is Albert from Switzerland, and maybe just one thing that I'm taking away from this call today is just the opportunity to join a candidates group ahead of the IIT. I think that will help me with also more regular journaling. I think that's what I'm hoping for. So thank you for those people who shared that opportunity.
Yay. Thanks, Albert. Annika or Chris, anything else that you want to share that you didn't have time or place to do that?
Well, I think I have shared what I want to share, so it's okay. Yeah, thank you. Nice getting coming together, really. Thank you.
Yeah. I also have a sense of completion. Anything I want to share that I'm afraid to share? Maybe not.
Great. Well, thanks all for coming, and I'm hoping to see a lot of you at the IIT. I'm excited about it. I'm excited about the place and the organization and the team. So I'm hoping you'll come and have fun with us for those of you who haven't yet registered. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.